What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today. Not for another BFR. I know we've done a consecutive streak, and I finally wanted to get a video out because I've been really busy and I finally have a free chance. And I wanted to get a video ahead of the trade deadline, just for trade speculation reasons with the Chicago Blackhawks. The jersey I'm wearing right now, it's a Florida Panthers jersey I recently received. It's the latest jersey I got, this original one, Fanatics brand. Got it for, I believe it was $35, so it wasn't bad. And you know why I got it for $35? Because the player on the back is no longer there. Because we're talking about trades, I thought, why not talk about a player that was traded? If I can get, there we go, Jonathan Huberdeau on the back with the number 11. So I thought we'd get right into this. So we're just going to go through some players on the Chicago Blackhawks, similar to what we did last year, and talk about what teams I could see them going to. We'll start with the big one. We'll start with Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane, before this morning, there have been teams that have been linked to him from all over. There was Vegas, there was, go through this, he might stay in Chicago, there was Colorado, there was Dallas, Boston, Toronto, New York, Buffalo. I think that's all of them. However, from recent development up until these last 2 days, there seems to be one thing, there only seems to be one of these teams that he's still interested in, and if not going to. And I'm not sure if there's been a move yet. I haven't checked my phone a little bit, so it's morning, so hopefully, I'm not making this after he's traded, if he does get traded. But right now, I'm only going to leave two on the board. I'm going to leave Chicago, and I'm going to leave New York. Weird glare coming through that window there. Because Buffalo, Toronto, Boston, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, and yeah, so we'll leave Chicago and the Rangers on the board because of just recency. And he wants to go to New York if he's going to go somewhere because A, that's his home. Well, actually, Buffalo's his home, but he wants to go to a team where he can obviously win. And the Rangers are already gearing up to do that. They already brought in Tarasenko. If they bring in Kane and reunite him with Panarin, I'm not sure how you can beat that team in the playoffs. And so Kane, the way I see it, he's going to either stay in Chicago or go to New York at this point. From everything that's been said, especially here in Chicago, that is probably what is going to happen. If he goes anywhere else, it must be a bigger package, and he needs to waive his no-move clause to also go there. So we'll see. We'll see. Another big player that was supposed to be traded, however, he's not going to get traded now, but we'll still talk about it. Teams that were in on him. Jonathan Toews. Let's see. You had Boston was in on him for a while, Winnipeg, Colorado. We forgot to mention Seattle with Kane. I'll quickly do that and then erase that. But they were also apparently in on Toews. It wasn't very big rumors, just this there. No, not there. Not Edmonton. Not Minnesota. But actually, might be it. I think I heard a little bit about Toronto, but not much. Winnipeg was the big one, and then he started getting effects from long COVID again. So unfortunately, he will not be traded. All the best wishes to Toews. That glare is really bothering me. I'm trying to figure out a way to maybe that'll help. Nope. The window. Apparently, the sun creeping through the window, even though it's cloudy outside. Don't know how that happens, but that's what's going on right now. So Toews, if he was going to move, I would say he would have gone to Winnipeg, and they would have had a lot of center depth down the middle. However, with long COVID, of course, he's not going to be probably dealt. So we'll talk about another injured player beforehand, and another player that I thought could have been dealt, but is probably not going to anymore. And I honestly don't. I'm not going to name a team down because I'm going to say these two players because they haven't played much this year. Alex Stalock and Jujhar Khaira. Stalock, when he's played, has been a beast in net for Chicago. He has a winning record. Him and Staub are the two that have been stealing wins for Chicago. And also Jujhar Khaira, I thought, had a possibility of being moved. He has not played all year and is probably done for the year as well. So, of course, I will not be marking those. There's another two players that I'm thinking of these guys off the top of my head right now. Another player that has drawn up some interest around the league, Sam Lafferty. Toronto apparently was very big in on him. I could also see Minnesota doing something with him. Because if they want to bring in just someone, because Minnesota, they're in a playoff spot. They're in an interesting situation. They're in a playoff spot, even though they have a ton of like cap casualty because of the buyouts of Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. It's like 12, 13 million, and they're also retaining salary on the O'Reilly and Orlov trades. So it's really interesting that instead of and they're recruiting assets, and I wonder how like the team feels about that when this team has the ability to win, and of course, because the cap casualties, their Bill Guerin isn't getting them any help, and it's kind of wonder how like I remember watching the Steve Dangle podcast yesterday. It's like how is morale in that room, because when you're preparing for the future and these guys don't have contracts out there, like besides Kaprizov, Zuccarello's 36 years old. Kaprizov's still young, but he's not going to be young forever. You have Hartman, another guy in there. There's going to be guys that are not going to want to stick around if that's going to be the case. So we'll see how that goes. But Lafferty, Toronto, Minnesota, looking around. I mean, Pittsburgh makes a little bit of sense if they want it. Pittsburgh's a mess right now, but I'll write them down. Tampa Bay likes to get those guys. They brought in Hagel from last year from Chicago, so I'll put their name there. But yeah, those are the teams I'll keep there. But if he's going to go anywhere, Toronto has definitely shown the most interest. And with all the moves they made so far, I wouldn't be surprised if they had in store one more, just to free up more cap or something like that. Next player, Jake McCabe. There's been a lot of interest around Jake McCabe around the league. Once again, starting with Toronto. Toronto's definitely been a big one in there. I've heard LA. I've heard Winnipeg. I've heard Edmonton, that's for sure. Devils, I've heard. That's another one. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at there. Those are some teams that I've heard his name come around. Looking around, anything else, that possibility. So, yeah, but it's good I'm getting this before the Hawks actually have traded anyone. Like, they've acquired Zaitsev and a few picks for future considerations. They did a 1-for-1 a minor league deal. So, glad I'm just getting some trade speculation out of the way. But, yeah, Edmonton was pursuing him earlier in the season. Winnipeg and LA I've heard minor things about. Devils I've heard minor. Toronto was big on it a little while ago. We'll see if anything actually does happen. Because I think Toronto's defense is actually solid, and I don't understand why they would go after McCabe unless they're just trying to, like, for example, send Justin Hall to Chicago and then bring in McCabe like a reduced cap hit or something like that. That's the only way I could see that happening. Only right. I would see. I as a Chicago fan, I know all about Justin Hall. I'm pretty sure he was a Blackhawks draft pick, and I wouldn't mind bringing him in during this era because I honestly don't understand how Toronto has kept him around for this long. I really don't. And it's no offense to Justin Hall. It's just everything I hear about him. It's just like, how is he still like in the NHL? But anyway, we'll move on to the next guy if I could think of one. Blackwell, I thought of a possibility, but he still has another year on his deal. I don't think he'll move. I think he'll stick around one more year, maybe be traded next year. Max Domi. It's been rumored the Hawks want to keep an extension with him, so I'll keep his name here. Toronto, once again, I've heard his name come up. Carolina, I've heard possibly bringing him back in a reduced role. I don't see why Carolina would do that, but it's a possibility. Edmonton, I've heard. That's another one. And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave Chicago, Toronto, Carolina, Edmonton, one in each division. Again, from what I've heard, the Hawks are in extension talks with him, so he's having a great year in Chicago, and of course he's playing with Patrick Kane, so that's going to help. But he showed the skill that he showed when he was a young prospect, and I'll be back in a moment. Sorry about that. I had to answer a phone call, and secondly, I was looking at the roster of the Blackhawks, and I'm looking if I missed anyone. And although I thought about putting Athanasiou on here, I don't think he's going to be traded because the Hawks need some players still to play after the deadline. There was one player I've also seen brought up in trade rumors, and I'll put him down, although I don't think he will be moved because of his still got another year left on his deal. Jason Dickinson. I heard more rumblings about Dallas possibly bringing him back. I've heard where else did I hear? Edmonton. I also heard Edmonton, but not as much. I'll write those two down because what else is there to put? But yeah, Dallas and Edmonton. Those are the only two I've heard Dickinson being an interest for. So I think I'll leave it at that. I think that I'll leave that at the trade speculation for now. Also, I just did look at Instagram before I did look at the. I did restart the video, and all the media things I'm seeing is that the Kane trade is just waiting to be lined up. There's a third team making sure everything's all good. This was 38 minutes ago. It was posted, so it looks like Kane will be moved either by the end of the day or by tomorrow. If so, sad day in Chicago, but hopefully we get something really good out of it, or possibly just get if we get like a huge payment, it's all worth it. Kane brought so much to this franchise, but it's business. That's essentially what sports are, is business. So anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next video, whether that's the Kane trade or not. Goodbye.